Banks have traditionally been an organization that collects a lot of data. A lot of data for our customers, a lot of data of the interaction with the customers, and a lot of transactions data. With that data, we do our analysis and try to unearth additional value out of it. With AI, we can explore the value much more than before. And we marry that along with the market data that we're able to access, with the big data outside, we will be able to find those information which is already in our franchise of which we do not know of. So we address it both from a revenue perspective and a cost perspective. On the revenue perspective, we start to understand the behavior, we start to understand the expected behavior of our customers, so then we can do what in the banking industry we call it, and in OCBC we call it next best action, which is the effort that we made to the customer to make sure that we entice the customer's interest in something that they may not know they will need. And we know because we analyze the data, we combine the data with the external data, and we unearth additional opportunities that we can do. On the internal side, we also use AI to help us do certain things which are quite mundane, but also quite complex. As many of you will know, in the banking industry, we have to make sure that there is no money laundering that happens within our accounts so that we protect the financial system in Singapore. On the other hand, to monitor money laundering is quite complex because it is through the transactions behavior that we are able to identify those irregularities. It is not only look at the behavior, we also have to compare the behavior vis-a-vis what they used to do vis-a-vis now. When they opened the account, they told us something, and afterwards they used the account in a different manner. Those are the behavioral things that we do. These are what we call pattern identification, and AI is very useful in that respect. So ultimately, I think AI is going to increase what I call the franchise value of banks. You see, banks, if you are quoted, you have this price to book. Book is your net worth on the balance sheet. But when some people look at your value, they usually will pay more than the book. And that part which is more than the book is what we call the franchise value, not in your balance sheet, but you'll be able to make active use of it. That includes the fact that if you use more AI to explore your data, you can actually create more value beyond what is already in the balance sheet. Banking will continue to be attractive as a career. Because ultimately you have to realize that it's a people-to-people business. You need people to understand the people's needs, but through technology to reach out to them. It is not that you use the technology to reach out to them and that's it. You still have to have the human intelligence, augmented by artificial intelligence, augmented by digitalization, so that you'll be able to reach out to them to fulfill their needs. I do not think all of their needs will be able to be satisfied by doing a mechanical analysis without the human brain involved in it. So it is still very much required. And I always think, whatever we do on the technology side, there will be no role elimination per se. What you used to know will still be applicable, but now you need to combine what you used to know to another thing that you do not know. You combine it to perform your new role. So people is still the most important element in the banking business. Yes, there are two levels of partnership. The private-public partnership, where we work with the government authorities, and private-private partnerships. It's very important to us to have partnerships because the internal knowledge, the internal intelligence can nowhere be compared with the collective wisdom and collective intelligence outside of our organization. So we very much welcome partnerships. To quote you a few examples, we partnered up with government agencies in order to do gyro for the inland revenue payments. We partner up with CPF, have an API to connect up with them. So these are the partnerships which facilitates our citizens here to be able to communicate through the bank with the government departments in terms of payments are concerned. That's a partnership. I can also think of where the banks can make use of their customer data with respect to facial recognitions in order to work with the government authorities so that we'll be able to work with companies like with entities like MyInfo to help the customer to facilitate their transactions and their account opening with the bank much faster. So that's one level of partnership. The second level of partnership, which is more interesting to the groups over here, is that we work extensively with external partners to develop solutions for us. Over the past 2 years, we have contacted 1,500 FinTech companies to develop ideas for us. We submit problem statements to them, and they come up with solutions. And we ultimately, every year, we will work with 10 to 15 companies to allow them to come into the sandbox and work on the real data. On the artificial intelligence side, we also work with companies from the outside to develop, for example, I mentioned to you, predictive behavior, pattern identification. These are all very useful for our business. So to me, partnerships is very important because the knowledge outside of our bank will be much more extensive than it's inside the bank. And you have more experience with different industries, which in the future, banking will have to work with other industries to further penetrate market, to create that convenience for the customers outside of the bank. And your knowledge about the other industries will dovetail very well with the banking industry's knowledge. You combine them into one, and we can truly make use of the customer franchise we have in-house to connecting to the other services that are available outside. I think AI at the present time can probably do intelligent judgment calls and execute based on first level, second level, third level, fourth level derivatives. Meaning that you build your decision on the first level of information, and you build on the combination of information, you make another level of information, and you make decision based on that. That's first, second, third, and fourth. I think the human brain is much more versatile than building derivative beyond the third and the fourth level. I think the human brain goes probably 20, 30 levels of derivative judgment calls based on the derivative information that they've obtained. So where I think it's conceptually possible, it is not something that I would expect to happen very soon.